News comes first. This is ABC-7 Extra.
Good evening, I'm Saul Saenz, and this is ABC-7 Extra Sunday edition. Tonight, we'll dedicate our half hour to talk about a program called Cite and Release. The program goes from arresting and jailing people caught with small amounts of marijuana to simply giving them a citation if they agree to return for their court date. The person must be at least 17 years old, be an El Paso County resident, and have the proper identification. The program's goal is to reduce the time police spend arresting and booking someone into jail for small amounts of pot so officers can spend more time patrolling our streets. Who does not qualify? Well, those who refuse to sign the citation are uncooperative or have outstanding warrants. Those people will not be eligible under the new program, which went into effect September 1st. The department's Cite and Release program is separate from the county's First Chance program. In essence, possession of marijuana is still illegal in El Paso. Joining me now to talk about Cite and Release is one of our area's biggest advocates for the program, State Representative and Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody. Also joining us is outgoing District Attorney for the 34th Judicial District, Jaime Esparza. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us, taking time away from your busy schedule. I'll start with you, Mr. Speaker, Joe Moody. Talk to me about this program, Cite and Release. You first introduced it out here in El Paso. What was the biggest reason that you wanted this program, that you were pushing for it?
Well, let's talk about the range of things we can do. And you mentioned possession is still illegal under state law. So how you enforce it is what we've been working on. Mr. Esparza put in place over a year ago a program called the First Chance program that addressed certain offenders who were coming through the system and really removed a lot of the collateral consequences for those groups of offenders. And that should be applauded. There were a group of offenders that were still being arrested, still having to go through the system, and ultimately, if they had their case dismissed, would still have to go back and get that offense expunged, which is expensive. You have to hire an attorney to do that. So my philosophy in low-grade possession cases has been to put individuals in a place where they don't have the long-lasting impacts that go far beyond the severity of the offense. And so if they're eligible for an expunction, let's allow them to do that. If they can track out of the criminal justice system, as we normally see people go through it, let's do that. So Cite and Release was a piece of the broader puzzle in which certain offenders would at least be spared a trip to jail in those circumstances. And studies will tell you that that disruption in life, that trip to jail, can have negative consequences that follow that individual. So it addresses another group of offenders, and I think complemented the program that Mr. Esparza was operating to great success prior to that.
Esparza, let's get your opinion on the Cite and Release. Are you in favor of it, or is it, as Representative Moody said, it just simply goes alongside, side by side with Cite and Release, the Second Chance program?
Well, I think Speaker Moody has addressed the issue correctly. What we've done is made those who possess marijuana in very small amounts accountable. So I can't change the state law. The law still says it's illegal to possess marijuana, but I think under First Chance program, it is the smartest way to hold the offender accountable. I am not in favor of the Cite and Release program. I expressed my opinion to City Council when they were discussing it. I think it's not necessary. First Chance is a much better alternative. So the difference is, your audience may try to figure out, what is the difference? So under Cite and Release, you're going to have to come to court. And under Cite and Release, I will file a case. And so you will have a record, even if you don't have a record because we booked you. Under First Chance, if you qualify, and everyone with small amounts of marijuana, which is misdemeanor amounts, if you have that amount of marijuana, you will then be allowed to participate in First Chance, which means we don't book you, just like Cite and Release, but we also don't file the case. So then you are given the opportunity to report to the First Chance program, and if you do, and you complete the program, which really is an administrative fee of $100 and 8 hours of community service, if you do that, then the case is never filed. We don't have to dismiss a case because nothing's ever been filed, and it is the smartest way to take care of someone's record. There will be no need to have to hire a lawyer to expunge your record. First chance is the best opportunity. I do not understand why the mayor and city council went forward on cite and release. We expressed what I am telling you now. I expressed that to the chief of police and to the city representatives, and I was before city council, just like Speaker Moody was. And I think both Speaker Moody and I agree on this issue. It may seem nuanced to the general public, but it will not be nuanced if you end up having to come to court and eventually you have to have your record expunged. Well, you would never have to do that under first chance. And finally, I would just tell you that we've been doing this for several years, and we know that those who participate in first chance, we have a 73% success rate. That's pretty good. And so those are people who, well, they were held accountable and then they moved on, and that's really smart.
In the minute that I have in this segment, Speaker Moody, can these two programs work side by side?
Well, I mean, the way the First Chance program was running was looking at the offender. So offender has no background, they go into the program, no criminal background other than traffic citations, and then you had a group of offenders that had criminal background arrests but no convictions. They were allowed to go into the program as well. There was a other category that was not that group of offenders where they had conviction history were still going through the system and creating a case and then allowed to go through. And so the point that I tried to raise is this discussion, and again, it is nuanced because you were talking about three different categories of offenders, two of which were being treated very progressively and prudently under the First Chance program, and the third group was. And so I thought this was marginally better for that group of offenders because they avoid the arrest, which they wouldn't in the other scenario. And so that's what we were trying to address. My goal is always to create an offense-based diversion program versus an offender-based diversion program. If we don't think the offense is worth spending time, energy, attention on, then we should make it across the board.
Got it. We're going to take a really quick break. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. When we come back, we'll ask what happens with offenders who were arrested before the program went into effect. You're watching ABC-7 Extra, where news comes first.
For just $2.99, the new Carl's Jr. A1 Double Cheeseburger will tempt you with A1 sauce. Try the new A1 Double Cheeseburger for just $2.99 at Carl's Jr. Feed your happy.
About the age of 40, I started experiencing some symptoms of fibroids, and I really wasn't comfortable with having a hysterectomy. I saw an advertisement for Advantage IR, so I scheduled an appointment. Everything went really smoothly. Uterine fibroid embolization was really uninvasive. It was a very easy recovery, and I had exceptional results. I just think that's a better option.
Advantage IR, your surgery alternative.
Ever wonder how all those drugs get across the border? It's easier than you'd think. Not every car that comes through gets checked. So I'm working with Republicans to crack down on the traffickers and require screenings of every vehicle that enters from Mexico. You see, common sense ideas for securing the border, they don't come with a party label. I'll work with anyone who wants to deliver for New Mexico. I'm Xochitl Torres Small, and I approve this message.
Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso is closed Saturday and open this Sunday and Monday for a 2-day Labor Day sale event. And this Sunday and Monday only, we're donating $100 to the Humane Society of El Paso for every new Hyundai sold. With Labor Day savings on all new Hyundais, like 0% for 72 months, 0 payments until 2021, 0 maintenance for 3 years, and payments as low as $169. Hyundai of El Paso is closed Saturday and open this Sunday and Monday for our 2-day Labor Day sale.
You know what this Carl's Jr. Double Cheeseburger deserves? Bottle service. Try the new A1 Double Cheeseburger for just $2.99. Part of Charbroiled Double Deals at Carl's Jr. Feed your happy.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. I also want to welcome back our guest, one of the biggest advocates for the Cite and Release program, State Representative and Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody. Also joining us is outgoing District Attorney for the 34th Judicial District, Jaime Esparza. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. Let's talk about what happens to offenders, and I'll start with you, Mr. Esparza. What happens to offenders who were not eligible for the first chance and could have been eligible, let's say, for the Cite and Release? What happens to them? Are they grandfathered in? What happens?
Well, I think it's good to start with what Speaker Moody was saying right before the break.
Okay.
So he and I had extended discussions when the city was considering this, and he really brought it down to a really smart way. There were really three categories. And so we here at the DA's office, there are no longer three categories. Everybody who has small amounts of marijuana, which is 4 ounces or less, and is not in a school zone, is eligible. Everyone. It doesn't really matter what your record is. We're talking about very small amounts. It's really a smart use of our resources, and it's a smart way to hold those people accountable. So to your question, you might wonder, well, why did the city do Cite and Release anyway? I don't have the answer to that question, but I can tell you, I do not think they were open to having discussions with us. They were set on doing Cite and Release, which I tell you is totally unnecessary. And I'm disappointed that the mayor and council proceeded on the Cite and Release. What we have done is for those people who are in court and either weren't eligible at the time, weren't offered the program while they were being arrested, and are still eligible, we offer them the Cite and Release program now. And we are we're a little slow under the COVID, but as we get back to dealing with the cases in the court, we will continue to do that. Everyone who meets that basic category will be offered the First Chance program, which is a $100 administrative fee and 8 hours of community service.
Speaker Moody, that's not the case. Sorry about that. Speaker Moody, that's not the case with Cite and Release. Not everyone is eligible, correct?
No, I mean it's a different program, like I said, and it is good to. This is a very good lesson in what happens when you have people communicate in government, right? I had a very strong opinion that there was a third category of offenders that was not getting the same results, and I didn't think that was fair. Mr. Esparza in his office heard that concern. We had a very lengthy conversation about it, and he said, "Look, I agree, and we're going to work on trying to weave this in together." And they've actually gone and done that. And so if they're doing that for all three groups of offenders, then really that program is going to result in the best situation possible for anyone that is stopped for possession of small amounts of marijuana. That's just a fact, because it means that they're not arrested, they're not booked, they're not charged. If they comply with the program, then they don't have anything on their history to have to go clean up either. And so that's a very good result. It wasn't the case when we made these we made these comments during City Council hearing or during their meeting. But it certainly is the case now. So I applaud him in those efforts. That's what happens when people collaborate, when they cooperate, when they, when they work side by side with one another. So I thank him for taking a look at that because it was really my main issue with the program as it was running at the time, which gave space for Cite and Release. Yeah. If this is the case, that this is the way it's running now, then that's a better result for all three of the groups of offenders.
It's pretty much in its infancy here in El Paso because it just started on Tuesday, but the Department of Public Safety has been using it for quite some time, haven't they? And how has it been working then?
It hasn't been used. That's not been my experience. DPS across the state doesn't use it. Some jurisdictions, a few jurisdictions have done that, have incorporated Cite and Release, but really, Cite and Release, in my opinion, is old school. The First Chance program, and I'd love to be able to take credit for it. I cannot. This came out of Harris County, which is Houston, Texas. I adopted that program, and really we morphed into what we do now, basically because we had these discussions with Speaker Moody. And we tried to have these discussions when we had our city council discussion. And I think they were just dead set on doing Cite and Release. It sounds like a great idea, but it's not a bad idea, but it's not the best idea. And First Chance is the best idea. It holds you. I think it's a fair balance of holding someone accountable and still following the law. And so I'm really glad that we do it. And the Sheriff's Department, they don't do cite and release. They do first chance on all cases. But the El Paso Police Department does not. And I assume that's because the mayor and city council have ordered that. But it's not necessary, and it's not the best option.
Representative Moody, your opinion?
No, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, if you end up with no collateral consequences, and that's offense-based rather than offender-based, that's a better system. You can go back and listen to my comments, not just as it pertains to drug policy, but cite and release is something that can apply to several other low-level offenses if they so choose to implement it. I think the city of San Marcos became the first city to do a broad-based cite and release program earlier this year. So that's something they can explore. In terms of the drug policy stuff, what Mr. Esparza's office has done with the First Chance program, now expanding it, I'd set that program and let it run the way it's running. And I'd start to look at ways to expand the arrest component of some of those other offenses that are allowed under cite and release. There's low-level theft, criminal mischief, graffiti. There's a few other things. And so that's a policy decision for the city council to make. I'd encourage them to weigh in on that. Now they have a construct to talk about it.
Okay,
so, nothing stops them from going forward with that discussion.
We'll take a quick break, and then we'll let the district attorney weigh in on that. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. We'll be right back.
It's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event. Time's running out to buy America's best-selling brand with our best deals of the summer, like 0% APR financing for 72 months across the Ford lineup. Shop online or in person, but hurry while selection is best. The Ford Summer Sales Event ends September 8th. Don't miss out on a new F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months, or get over $11,000 in total savings. Ford, built for Texas, built for you.
News doesn't stop on weekends. Big stories break Saturday and Sunday, too. Borderland natives J.C. Navarrete and Kate Beery provide complete coverage of breaking news. ABC-7, the area's only weekend morning newscast at 6 and 8 a.m. Extra resources when events demand it. And an in-depth discussion of a major story every Sunday night at 10:35 on ABC-7 Extra. ABC-7, where news comes first, 7 days a week. An awful lot can change overnight.
A man was shot and taken to the hospital this morning. It happened on the east side.
ABC-7's Good Morning El Paso knows you need to get up to speed fast.
If you are leaving in the next few minutes heading westbound on I-10, you'll run into this.
The ABC-7 Alert Center is Good Morning El Paso's tool for the latest updates to keep your family safe.
A lot of questions remain this morning. We keep asking those questions, and we'll bring you the latest developments as soon as they become available.
Only on ABC-7's Good Morning El Paso. When you need the latest news, turn to the ABC-7 Alert Center.
President Trump's afternoon news conference interrupted when a person was shot outside of the White House.
With new details breaking minute by minute, the ABC-7 Alert Center has real-time updates to keep you informed and your family safe.
More breaking news just into our newsroom. New Mexico State suspends football practice after an athlete tested positive for COVID-19.
Only on ABC-7, where news comes first.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. Joining us for our final segment of ABC-7 Extra Sunday edition is Representative and Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody. Also joining us is outgoing District Attorney for the 34th Judicial District, Jaime Esparza. I'll start with you, District Attorney. We've been discussing at length about how the two can work side by side if First Chance program can work alongside cite and release. You don't think so?
No, it's not that I don't think so. I just think it's extra effort for something we don't need. I really think that what the mayor and council should do is reconsider what they're doing on cite and release in regards to marijuana and back away and allow us to offer first chance to every person who's arrested in this county so that we can just move on. It is the smarter thing. If anyone is during the time that it's been implemented as it continues, everyone will go before the judge. If you go before the judge, it requires me to file the case. I file the case, you have a record. Whether I dismiss your case or not, you have a record. I'm not sure City Council quite gets that. And so in First Chance, you have an opportunity to go to the program. You have an opportunity to take advantage of the program. And we know that 73% of the people who go complete it. That's a pretty good success rate. And those are 73% of the cases. One, I never had to file, and were never in our system. And their record, as the way Speaker Moody says it, there are basically no collateral consequences. We took care of business, you were held accountable, and we move on.
Speaker Moody,
So I don't think it's a question of can we work together. I frankly think cite and release is not necessary.
Speaker Moody, since you're at the state level, can this be viewed by many people who are watching this program now as a step towards the legalization of marijuana in the state of Texas?
No, and this is a part of a broader conversation about cannabis, and it's a good one to have. I'm glad the city engaged in it because at the time the First Chance program wasn't addressing that third category, and now it is. I mean, that is a good result, and they shouldn't be unwilling to revisit that. If the district attorney's office has made that decision based on a policy discussion at City Hall, that's a good thing. That means things are better for our community. That's what we should expect, people to listen, actually have their ears open, and that's a good result. So this conversation it's a big broad conversation. Right next door in New Mexico, you have an even broader progressive discussion regarding cannabis. I think that's going to continue in Texas as well. You know, things that you can think about, like you said, as long as it's against the law, it becomes an enforcement question. How do we enforce it? Well, there are lots of options you can put on the table. Well, if you have a valid recommendation from a physician in New Mexico or another state to have it as medicinal cannabis, and you're caught with it here in Texas, I'd encourage prosecutors not to prosecute those cases. You know, I'd encourage them to treat the concentrates the same way, because right now they're treated as felony level possession, and those are really personal use possession cases in the way that these products are used today. And so there's always a way that we can continue talking about this. So the fact that the city of El Paso, which was the first to criminalize and prohibit marijuana back in the day, is having this discussion now, it's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with putting ideas out on the table and seeing what we can do to have better results. We should do the same when we talk about homelessness, or we should talk the same about other substance use issues. Those shouldn't be in the criminal justice system. Those are different issues. But just like mental health shouldn't be in the criminal justice system, it should be in the healthcare system. These are great discussions to have.
District Attorney, I should ask also, and I'm sure that folks at home are thinking about this, and when we're talking about other, cannabis items such as gummy bears and all those other things that are out there, is everything treated the same under the First Chance?
Not having actually in the short period of time telling you the variety of offenses that are committed, we basically, the El Paso Police Department, the DPS, the Sheriff's Department, we follow the law as written by the legislature, period. And what we do in First Chance is exactly what Speaker Moody said, is we still enforce it, we just hold you accountable in a smart way. I mean, the amount of marijuana that we're dealing with in First Chance, right, because it's 4 ounces or less. We're not dealing with 2 ounces. We're not dealing with 3 ounces. We're not dealing with almost 4 ounces. Almost everybody we catch has less than a 1/4 ounce in their possession. So if it's less than a 1/4 ounce, do I really need to book you? Do I really need to put you in the system? The smart answer is no. I need to hold you accountable. You do some community service, and I think everyone, the community and the criminal justice system, it's a good balance, and I think it's a success, and I think we should continue to follow that. To your question is, those questions really go to Speaker Moody. I mean, I see him fight that battle every 2 years, and it's a matter of, can you convince the legislature to do something different than what they're doing on marijuana?
Because of time limitations?
To the question, I do not think that this is one step towards legalization. That is far from it, and that totally confuses me.
Because of time limitations, we'll leave the conversation at that. Representative Joe Moody, thank you so much. District Attorney Jaime Esparza, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us about this very important issue. And thank you for joining us and permitting us into your homes. I'm Saul Saenz, and this has been ABC 7 Extra Sunday Edition. Good night y buenas noches.